today's episode, we're going to get into stars finally, and we're going to learn about the compositions of stars and how they are used, and then we're going to get into actually the methods of making them, and then we're going to make some. Okay, about stars. First of all, when you see a shell break in the sky, the color that you see is usually generated by stars. And stars are come in different sizes depending on the shell sizes, and they're made in different ways, and we'll be getting into that. They actually contain five basic ingredients. One is a fuel that actually causes the chemicals to burn. One's an oxidizer that produces the oxygen, and that supports the combustion. And color, that is specific chemicals just for that particular, that generate that color. There's also a binder that typically will hold the star together. And sometimes there's a separate chlorine donor, and that just gives strengthens the color of the star, but usually an oxidizer does that. Okay, so here's a color chart courtesy of fireworks.com that shows the colors and the chemicals that produce those colors. So for reds, it would be strontium-based salts. For orange, calcium, yellow, sodium, and so forth. So we're actually going to get in first of all and make some red stars. Okay, so here is a formula for a red star, and these formulas and the chemicals are actually available from fireworkscookbook.com, and there's many different formulas available. So you can see that the red star is made up of these four chemicals. Strontium carbonate, which is the color, potassium chlorate, which is the oxidizer, red gum, which is the fuel, and dextrin, which is the binder. So these are just like with black powder, they're based on, first of all, the percentages of each are shown. So depending on the measurement that you want to use, whether you're measuring in ounces or in grams, this is the appropriate amount for producing 1 pound of red stars. Okay, so here's a few different stars. These are rolled stars, and they're lemon flashing. These are rolled stars. They're actually a brocade with waterfall effect. These are rolled ones that are brilliant red. These are pumped stars. These are blue. These are yellow. These are a couple different sizes of horsetail. And these are some crude cut purple with strobe mixture. So you can see there's no way to tell what effect these are without marking them. So if they get separated, you'll never know what they are until you shoot them. Okay, so here are several different methods of making stars. I have a variety of pumps, and then I have a variety of star plates. And the pumps are simply, you put the mixture in, you hammer it with your rawhide mallet, and then you push it out, and so it makes one at a time. So with these, I have various sizes, up to 1 3/4 inches. And then there's 3 different sizes here of the star plates, and you can see depending on the size is how many you can produce at one time. And these you would use the hydraulic press with it to press these. These types of pumps you would use a mallet. Okay, one other type of star pump that you might want to consider, especially if you're just getting into this stuff can get very expensive to buy, but you can go to the hardware store and buy copper fittings and dowels and make your own little pump. And so these are very, available in all kinds of sizes. So that's a good way to get started with a minimal amount of money. Okay, now I want to show you how to pump 3/8 inch stars. And I've got our red star mixture in a cup. There's 100 grams is all I'm doing it right now. And what we want to do is mix in 10% of the total weight in water and alcohol, and we do 10%
90% of that would be water, and then 10% of it will be alcohol. So I'll do water until I get to 109. Then I'll take alcohol and do the other 10%. Okay, so we have 110 grams now. So that gives us 10% liquid and 100% of the material. Then I'll simply mix it up. I'm going to put the top on and shake it until it's thoroughly mixed. Okay, now I have my material thoroughly mixed. We'll take our pump, and you'll notice a little pin that goes through the center of this. And what this does is, if it's flush with the top of the cylinder, that means I've got 3/8 of an inch room in here for the star. And so what it would pump is a 3/8 inch diameter by 3/8 inch tall star. We'll start off by pulling it out about 1/4 inch. We'll just press some of our compound in there. Take our rawhide mallet and we will hammer down to as close to the cylinder but not touching. You don't want to bend your rod. So we pull that pin out, we push it out, and there is our 3/8 inch star. Let me put our pin back in and do it again. Now this time I got a little bit too much in there, so my pin is not touching the cylinder. So what I'll do is push it all the way until it is, and then we'll trim off that amount. Then that'll give us a 3/8 inch height. And we'll put it on a screen, and we'll keep going until we get all the solution done. And then we'll put it in the dryer, and we'll dry the stars. And the other sizes of pumps work exactly like this. And with the exception of these little guys, and these you just fill it up and hammer them, and you don't get to gauge as closely the height of the star. Okay, so here is the stars that have been dried in the dryer, and they are hard as a rock. You can see what they look like now. And they now need to be primed. And the reason you prime the stars are, surprisingly enough, that they're hard to light on their own. And so we mix up a primer made of black powder, the regular 75-15-10 mixture. We add 5% dextrin for a binder, and we're going to coat these with that primer to make them easier to light. And so what we do is we mix up first a slurry, and the slurry is 2 parts water, 1 part our black powder mixed with dextrin. And we're going to coat these in the in the slurry, and which, by the way, is called Toro. And there's a method of making stars called the Toro method that we'll show sometime. And we take 2 containers, one with our powder in it, and one we're going to put the stars in and put the slurry mixture on those. So we'll take those, and I'm just doing a small batches of this. Normally you'd have a lot more of this. So we're going to take our stars and put them in here and mix with our slurry. Now we don't want to just drown them in it, we just want them to be coated. So I'm going to pour a little bit of solution over these, not all of it, and I'm going to cover them up. We're going to shake them. And we want a good even coat on this. And then we will put it into our mixture of just the powder. And we'll do that again. We'll shake them around until they get a good even coating of prime. Okay, so if you can see that, they're all real evenly coated. It gives you a nice even coat of prime. And these we will put on the screen again and let them dry, and then they'll be ready to use. And I've also got some little 1/4 inch ones here I had done in the past, and just to show you, once they're dried, you really can't tell a lot of difference. Those are also ready to go. And next we'll show doing a cut star method, and then from there we'll start making some shells. Okay, next we're going to do cut stars. These will be the easiest for the novice to make with very little tools. Really all you need is some square dowels, the thickness of the stars that you want, something to roll them with, some wax paper, some water, and of course your solution, your chemical solution, and that's it. Here is the leftover red that we made, and what we're going to do is mix this with water until we get a Play-Doh like consistency with it. And that just takes a little bit of you got to add a little water at a time and mix it, add a little more, mix it. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to save out a little bit of your solution, so if you get it too wet, then you can add a little to that. But it just takes a little time to get it all into that consistency. So I'll just keep doing this until I get it to the consistency that I like. Okay, so I've got it to a consistency that I like, and what we're going to do is put it on a piece of wax paper, and you can mash it out a little bit by hand if you like. We're going to put little spacer bars to help us gauge the thickness of it, and these, like I said, are 1/4 inch. And we're going to lay a piece of wax paper on top, and we're going to roll this out. Okay, now once you get all the way down to where it's not spreading anymore, then we know that we've got a 1/4 inch thick patty here. And I get kind of anal about this, so I kind of like to square mine up more and then redo flattening until I get a little square patty. Okay, that's pretty good. Even consistency. I'll just square up the edges a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but that's just the way I like to do it. Okay, so once we get that, we will take our primer solution, and remember that's black powder with 5% dextrin, and we're going to put a little over top of this. We'll spread that out. So we have a pretty even coating all the way around on it. And we have it all coated. Okay, so we're going to take another sheet and put over top of that. And the idea here is we're actually going to flip this over. So I'm going to fold the edges of the wax paper so the solution doesn't, so the loose powder doesn't fly out everywhere. Take something else on top, and we're going to flip it over. Now we'll peel that back, and on this side we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add primer. Okay, so once we have that primed, then we're actually going to start cutting these. And you need a really thin edge, something, blade or aluminum strip, something to cut these. And I actually had an old saw that's got a really thin blade on it, and that's what you need. And what we're going to do is try to cut these in 1/4-inch strips. And as we cut them, we'll slide them back and try to flip them up on the edge. So I'll cut it, slide it back, tilt it up on the edge, and we'll keep going until we get them all. Okay, so once we get these all cut into strips, we're going to add more primer. Cover it back, fold the edges up, and then we're going to flip it and coat the other side. Okay, so once those are coated on both sides, then we can begin cutting into, again, 1/4-inch pieces. And we'll continue this until we get all of them cut. Okay, so once they're all cut, then we will put some more primer on them. And we will try to break them up to to make sure everything's coated well. Then we'll end up spreading these on the rack to dry again, and we'll break up any that stick together once they're all coated. Okay, so after breaking up all of the stars and making sure they're all coated, here they are on the drying screen. I guess not bad for a novice for cuts. They're not 100% equal, but they'll still do the trick. So there you go, there's cut stars. Okay, so that's kind of the basics on making stars, pump stars and cut stars. And once I get my hydraulic press set back up, I will show making them with star plates. But just basically, the end solution is exactly the same. The pump stars naturally are more consistent. They look better to me than cut stars, but the cut stars are a lot quicker to do, as you saw. So you can do a mass quantity a lot quicker. But anyway, that's star plates will do the same thing as far as mass quantity, but it just takes more equipment to do. So there you go, and next we'll start making some shells.
At a later time, I'll go over making rolled stars and how to convert a cement mixer into a star roller.